The grand hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with barely contained laughter. Hundreds of alien representatives from across the galaxy sat in their floating pods, their various appendages trembling with amusement as they watched the human delegation approach the central platform. Captain James Walker kept his face neutral as he walked forward. After 15 years of space exploration, he had grown used to the condescending attitudes of alien species. Behind him, Dr. Anna Reed clutched her datapad tighter, her knuckles white with tension. Chief Engineer Marcus Stone walked with a slight smile on his face, seemingly enjoying the circus-like atmosphere. "You claim," the Chief Council member's translator boomed, "that your primitive species has mastered seventh-dimensional travel." The being's crystalline body sparkled with what humans had learned to recognize as mocking joy. "We don't claim," James replied steadily. "We're here to announce our successful tests and demonstrate the technology." This triggered another wave of laughter. A massive screen behind the council displayed the revelation: humanity's first seventh-dimensional vessel. To most aliens, it looked absurdly simple, lacking the complex dimensional arrays and reality anchors their ships used for even basic four-dimensional travel. Dr. Reed stepped forward, her voice clear despite her nervousness. "Our research shows that previous approaches to dimensional travel have been unnecessarily complicated. We've discovered that human consciousness naturally resonates with higher dimensional frequencies." The Ancient One's representative, a being of pure energy contained within a metallic shell, floated down from its high perch. Its voice came through as a series of musical tones translated into words. "Your species barely mastered faster-than-light travel a century ago. Now you expect us to believe you've surpassed civilizations that have studied dimensional physics for millennia." Marcus Stone chuckled, drawing disapproving glares from several council members. "Sometimes the newest eyes see what the oldest minds have overlooked," he said, patting the technical blueprint he carried. "Our ship doesn't fight against dimensional barriers. It flows with them." The council chamber's air filled with a mix of chirps, bellows, and electronic signals, the sound of various species expressing their disbelief. James noticed how some of the younger races looked embarrassed for humanity, while the older ones seemed almost angry at their audacity. "Perhaps," the chief council member chimed, "you would care to explain why your vessel lacks basic dimensional stabilizers. Even a child knows they're essential for any trans-dimensional travel." Dr. Reed activated her holographic display, showing the revelation's internal systems. "Our breakthrough came when we stopped trying to force our way through dimensions. Traditional stabilizers actually prevent access to higher dimensions by trying to maintain three-dimensional physics. The human brain naturally processes multiple dimensional states. We simply had to build a ship that could translate that ability into mechanical action." The Ancient One's representative pulsed with what seemed like irritation. "Impossible. We have mapped the neural patterns of every known species. None possess the capacity to comprehend beyond 4 dimensions, let alone 7. "Then perhaps," James suggested quietly, "your mapping techniques need revision." The laughter stopped for a moment, replaced by an uncomfortable silence. The human delegation stood firm under the collective gaze of the galaxy's most advanced civilizations. "The Council has been generous with its time," the chief member announced. "We will observe your demonstration tomorrow, though I suggest you prepare a suitable apology for wasting the Council's resources when your primitive vessel fails to achieve even basic dimensional shift." As the human delegation left the chamber, the laughter resumed, following them down the crystalline corridors of the Council station. Back on board the Revelation, the crew gathered in the command center. "That went about as expected," James said, removing his formal jacket. Anna looked up from her calculations. "They're so convinced of their superiority that they didn't even bother to really examine our data. Did you notice?" Marcus nodded, already running system checks. "Their loss. Tomorrow's going to be interesting." He paused, looking at a reading. "Anna, come look at this. The ship's dimensional resonance is even stronger here than it was in Earth orbit. Something about all these alien minds nearby." James walked to the ship's viewing window, watching the massive alien vessels that surrounded their comparatively tiny ship. Each one bristled with complex technological arrays and dimensional field generators. Tomorrow, everything those ships represented, centuries of established science, alien superiority, and humanity's place in the galactic hierarchy, would change forever. Get some rest, he told his crew. Tomorrow, we show the galaxy what happens when they underestimate the human mind. The revelation hummed softly, its systems already beginning to vibrate in harmony with its crew's consciousness, preparing for the moment when it would prove that sometimes the simplest solution was the one that everyone else was too smart to see. The morning before the demonstration, Marcus Stone stood in the Revelation's engine room, surrounded by a group of alien engineers. Their various scanning devices hummed and blinked as they studied the ship's systems with a mixture of curiosity and disdain. "This is your dimensional drive?" a tall, silver-skinned engineer asked, his translator barely hiding his amusement. "Where are the reality anchors? The quantum stabilizers?" Marcus ran his hand along the smooth, curved wall of the central chamber. "Don't need them. They'd just get in the way. Actually." He touched a control panel, and the chamber lit up with a soft, pulsing blue light. "Our ship works with dimensional flows, not against them." The alien engineers exchanged looks that Marcus had learned to recognize as skepticism. Their own ships were marvels of complex technology, covered in external arrays and bristling with stabilization fields. The Revelation, by comparison, looked almost empty. On the bridge, Captain James watched through the ship's cameras as Dr. Anna Reed explained their breakthrough to a group of Ancient One scientists. Their metallic shells gleamed under the ship's lights as they floated around her holographic displays. Traditional dimensional physics assumes consciousness is bound to three-dimensional space, Anna explained, bringing up a complex diagram. But human brains naturally process multiple dimensional states. We dream in ways that break three-dimensional rules. We imagine impossible shapes. We visualize concepts that can't exist in normal space. "Primitive metaphysical nonsense," one of the Ancient Ones chimed. "Dreams and imagination are merely neural misfires. They have no bearing on dimensional physics." Anna smiled. "That's what we thought too, until we started measuring the quantum states of human brains during these misfires. Look at this." She pulled up a new display showing brain wave patterns. "These aren't random. They're perfectly structured patterns of seventh-dimensional resonance." In the ship's medical bay, the crew underwent their final preparations. James watched as his people were connected to the ship's neural interface system, another design that had made the aliens laugh. Instead of complex control systems, the Revelation relied on direct mental connection with its crew. "Captain," Marcus called over the intercom, "you need to see this. The ship's dimensional resonance is getting stronger. It's learning from the alien technology around us." James hurried to the engine room. The central chamber's blue light had taken on a deeper, more intense hue. The alien engineers had backed away, their instruments showing readings they couldn't explain. "It's not just learning," Anna said, joining them with her datapad. "It's adapting. All these alien ships with their brute force dimensional technology. They're creating waves in dimensional space. Our ship is learning to ride those waves." One of the alien engineers stepped forward, his professional skepticism giving way to genuine curiosity. "But how do you control it? Where are the dimensional coordinates? The reality locks?" Marcus grinned. "We don't need them. Human consciousness naturally understands how to navigate dimensional space. We just had to build a ship that could translate that understanding into action." "Impossible," another engineer stated. "The mathematical complexity of seven-dimensional space would overwhelm any organic brain." "Only if you try to process it mathematically," Anna replied. "Do you need to solve equations to catch a ball? To recognize a face? To know which way is up? Humans process complex four-dimensional calculations every day without even realizing it. We just extended that natural ability." James felt the ship humming through his boots. The Revelation was ready. More than ready, it was eager. The neural interfaces were already picking up the crew's excitement, translating it into dimensional potential. "Everyone out," he ordered the alien observers. "We need to run our final checks before the demonstration." As the last engineer left, Marcus checked the ship's readings one more time. "Captain, if these readings are right, tomorrow's going to be more than just a demonstration. The ship's potential is far beyond our initial calculations." James nodded, watching the pulsing light of the engine chamber. "Let them laugh for now," he said quietly. "By this time tomorrow, the galaxy's going to have to rethink everything they thought they knew about humans and dimensional physics." The revelation's hum deepened, as if in agreement. In a few hours, it would show the galaxy what happened when human intuition and alien technology danced together in seven-dimensional space. The demonstration zone was a carefully controlled section of space, surrounded by the most advanced sensor arrays in the galaxy. Thousands of alien ships hung in the void, their crews watching with varying degrees of amusement and curiosity. The revelation floated at the center, looking small and simple compared to the massive alien vessels. Inside the ship's bridge, Captain James took his position in the neural interface chair. Around him, his crew did the same. Dr. Anna Reed at the physics station, Marcus Stone at engineering, and the rest at their respective posts. Each of them felt the familiar tingle as the ship's systems connected with their minds. "Attention Revelation crew." The Galactic Council's transmission came through clearly. "You may begin your demonstration." The slight pause carried all the mockery of the previous day. James closed his eyes, feeling the ship's systems through the neural link. "All stations, report." "Engineering ready," Marcus said, his voice calm. "The dimensional resonance is stronger than ever." "Physics ready," Anna added. "The ship's consciousness integration is at peak efficiency." "Very well." James opened his eyes. "Let's show them what humanity can do." Begin dimensional shift sequence. The first sign that something was different came from the alien sensor ships. Their instruments, calibrated to detect conventional dimensional drives, began registering unusual patterns. The Revelation's hull started to glow with a soft blue light that seemed to bend in impossible ways. "Dimensional boundary approaching," Anna announced. "But something's different. The ship isn't just breaking through, it's dancing with the dimensional barriers." In space, the alien observers watched as the Revelation began to change. The ship's outline became fluid, shifting in ways that shouldn't have been possible. Light bent around it in patterns that made the most experienced dimensional physicists question their understanding of reality. "Warning," the Council's voice came through again, now tinged with concern. "Your vessel is exhibiting unstable dimensional fluctuations. Abort your demonstration immediately." Marcus looked up from his readings, his eyes wide with excitement. "Captain, the ship isn't just accessing the seventh dimension. It's teaching us how to see it. The neural interface is translating seven-dimensional space into something our minds can comprehend." James felt it too. Through the neural link, impossible geometries became clear. He could sense the higher dimensions folding around them, could feel the way reality curved and twisted beyond the limits of normal space. It was beautiful. "The Ancient One's sensors are going crazy," Anna reported. "They're detecting dimensional harmonics they've never seen before. The ship isn't forcing its way through dimensions like their vessels do. It's resonating with them." Outside, the demonstration zone had become a spectacular display of light and geometry. The Revelation danced through dimensional barriers as if they weren't there, leaving trails of blue-white energy that twisted through multiple dimensions at once. By the eternal stars, an Ancient One's transmission cut through the chaos. Their consciousness, it's actually interfacing with seven-dimensional space. How is this possible? James smiled as he guided the ship through another impossible turn. Through the neural link, he could feel his crew's growing confidence. They weren't just proving human technology. They were demonstrating that human consciousness itself was capable of things the aliens had never imagined. "Full dimensional shift," he commanded. "Let's show them everything." The Revelation's glow intensified. In an instant, the ship seemed to exist in multiple dimensional states simultaneously. To the alien observers, it appeared to fold in on itself, expanding in directions their minds couldn't process. The humans, another alien transmission crackled. They're moving through dimensional space like they were born to it. The laughter had stopped completely now. In its place was a stunned silence as the galaxy's most advanced civilizations watched humanity demonstrate mastery over dimensional physics that went beyond anything they had achieved with their complex technology. Final phase, James announced to his crew. Let's bring it home. The revelation pulsed once, bright enough to be seen from light years away, and then settled back into normal space. But everything had changed. The ship had proven that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology. It was their innate ability to comprehend the impossible. In the silence that followed, the crew of the Revelation shared knowing looks. This wasn't just a demonstration anymore. It was the moment when humanity showed the galaxy that sometimes the simplest solution was the one that required the most advanced minds to understand. The hours following the demonstration turned the Galactic Council station into chaos. Emergency meetings were called. Alien scientists argued in the corridors. The Ancient Ones had retreated to their chambers, their metallic shells vibrating with what seemed like distress. Inside the Revelation, Captain James and his crew were still processing what they had experienced. The neural interface had shown them things that no human was meant to see, yet their minds had handled it perfectly. "Look at these readings," Anna said, her fingers dancing over her control panel. During the demonstration, our brains weren't just controlling the ship. We were actually perceiving seven-dimensional space directly. She pulled up a holographic display showing their neural patterns during the event. It's like our minds were meant to do this all along. Marcus nodded, studying his own engineering data. The ship didn't just move through higher dimensions. It showed us how to see them. That's why alien technology never worked right. They were trying to force their way through, while we learned to look first. A transmission from the council interrupted their discussion. On the main screen, the chief council member appeared, its crystalline form somehow less brilliant than before. "Captain Walker," it said, its translator struggling to maintain a neutral tone. "The council requests your presence. There are questions that must be answered." In the council chamber, the atmosphere was completely different from the previous day. No one was laughing now. The floating pods held silent, attentive aliens, all focused on the human delegation as they entered. "Explain," the chief council member demanded. "How did your vessel achieve stable seven-dimensional transit without reality anchors?" Anna stepped forward with her data. Reality anchors actually prevent true dimensional travel. They try to maintain three-dimensional physics in higher dimensions. It's like trying to swim while holding onto the pool's edge. She displayed her findings, showing how the Revelation had moved through dimensional space. Human consciousness naturally understands higher dimensions. We dream in impossible geometries. We imagine non-Euclidean spaces. Our art shows perspectives that shouldn't exist. We were just the first ones to realize this wasn't a flaw. It was a feature. The Ancient One's representative floated down, its metallic shell still trembling slightly. "Our scans show your brains actually reconfigured themselves during the dimensional shift. No species we've encountered can do this without suffering immediate mental collapse." Marcus smiled. "Maybe you've been looking at it wrong. Our brains didn't reconfigure. They remembered. Humans have always been able to think in higher dimensions. We just needed the right tool to translate that ability into physical movement." James watched as the alien scientists studied their data with new eyes. The Revelation had done more than demonstrate a new technology. It had shown them an entirely new way of understanding reality itself. "There's more," Anna added, bringing up new readings. "During the demonstration, we discovered layers of dimensional space that your sensors never detected. The seventh dimension isn't just another level of reality. It's a gateway to understanding the universe's basic structure." The council chamber erupted in discussion. Species that had looked down on humanity just hours ago were now frantically studying the Revelation's data, trying to understand how they had missed something so fundamental. "Your vessel," the chief council member said, its voice now holding a note of respect. "How many have you built?" "Just the one," James replied. "But now that we understand the principles better, we can build more. And we can teach others, if they're willing to learn a new way of thinking." The Ancient One's representative moved closer. "Teach. You would share this knowledge." "Of course," Anna said. "That's another thing about humans. We like to share what we learn. But you'll have to unlearn some things first. Everything you know about dimensional physics is based on forcing your way through. We'll teach you how to flow instead." As the implications sank in, James looked around the chamber. The mighty Galactic Council, the Ancient Ones, all the advanced races that had laughed at humanity's claims, they were now facing a future where their most basic understanding of physics needed to be rewritten. The Revelation had done more than prove human technology. It had shown the galaxy that consciousness itself was the key to understanding reality's deepest mysteries. And humans, the primitive newcomers who had been the butt of so many jokes, were about to become the teachers of the most advanced civilizations in space. The attack came without warning. A group of warships from the Outer Rim, pirates who had refused to accept the Galactic Council's authority, dropped out of dimensional space around the station. Their weapons, powered by stolen technology, began targeting the Revelation. Multiple hostile ships detected. Marcus called out from his station. "They're using modified dimensional drives, trying to create a containment field around us." Captain James rushed to the neural interface chair. "Everyone to your stations. They want to see what our ship can do." "Let's show them." The enemy vessels, massive and bristling with weapons, moved to surround the much smaller Revelation. Their commander's face appeared on the main screen, a being with dark scales and gleaming eyes. "Surrender your vessel," it demanded. "A primitive species like yours doesn't deserve such power. We'll find better uses for it." James felt his crew link into the ship's systems through their neural interfaces. This time, there was no hesitation, no uncertainty about their capabilities. They had seen what the ship could do, and more importantly, they understood how to do it. "Anna," James called, "show them what happens when they try to cage something that exists in 7 dimensions." The Revelation's hull began to glow with that now familiar blue light. The pirates' containment field, designed to trap ships in 3-dimensional space, simply couldn't hold something that could step sideways through reality. "Impossible," the pirate commander shouted as the Revelation seemed to flicker and dance between dimensions. "Our field is based on Ancient One's technology. Your field assumes ships can only move in ways you understand," Anna replied, her fingers flying over her console as she guided the ship's dimensional shifts. "But we're not bound by your rules anymore." The Revelation moved in ways that made the pirates' targeting systems useless. How do you shoot something that can exist in multiple dimensional states at once? The enemy ships fired anyway, their energy weapons cutting through space where the Revelation had been moments before. "Marcus," James ordered, "show them what our dimensional drive can really do." Marcus grinned, his hand steady on the engineering controls. "With pleasure, Captain." Initiating dimensional wave. The Revelation pulsed with energy, sending out a wave of 7-dimensional force that rippled through space. The pirate ships, built to handle only conventional physics, began to shudder as higher dimensional energies played havoc with their systems. "Their dimensional drives are overloading," Anna reported. "They don't know how to handle the feedback." One by one, the pirate ships' stolen dimensional technology failed, leaving them stranded in normal space. The Galactic Council's defense forces, which had been rushing to intervene, found themselves watching instead as a single human vessel disabled an entire pirate fleet without firing a single conventional weapon. "This is your last warning," James transmitted to the pirates. "Stand down, or we'll show you what else 7-dimensional travel can do." The pirate commander's face showed real fear now. "What are you?" "We're human," James replied simply. "And we're just beginning to understand what that means." The pirates surrendered, their mighty ships now floating helplessly in space. The Revelation's crew watched as Council security vessels moved in to take them into custody. "Captain," Anna called out, excitement in her voice. "During that battle, the way we used the dimensional energies, I don't think anyone's ever done that before. We didn't just travel through dimensions, we actually manipulated them." Marcus nodded, studying his readings. "The ship's getting stronger, or maybe we're just getting better at understanding what it can do. Either way, we just rewrote the book on space combat." James looked out at the disabled pirate ships and the gathering Council vessels. The Revelation had just demonstrated that humanity's grasp of dimensional physics wasn't just about travel. It was about understanding the very fabric of reality in ways the other races had never imagined. "Send a message to Earth," he told his communications officer. "Tell them what happened here. They need to know that we're not just exploring new space anymore. We're reshaping how the galaxy understands reality itself." The Revelation hummed softly around them, its systems still resonating with seven-dimensional energy. In less than 2 days, humanity had gone from being the galaxy's laughingstock to its most fascinating mystery. And they were just getting started. 2 weeks after the pirate incident, the Galactic Council chamber was fuller than it had ever been. Representatives from every known species had gathered to witness something unprecedented: the complete restructuring of the galaxy's scientific hierarchy. Captain James stood with his crew as Dr. Anna Reed presented her findings to the assembled aliens. The chamber's massive displays showed the Revelation's data, but now it was organized in a way that even non-humans could begin to understand. "The key was never the technology," Anna explained, her voice clear and confident. "Your civilizations have been trying to force dimensional travel through pure mechanics. But consciousness, particularly human consciousness, is naturally attuned to higher dimensions. The Ancient One's representatives, who had once been humanity's harshest critics, now floated at the front of the chamber, their metallic shells gleaming with attention. "We have studied consciousness for millennia," one of them chimed. "How did we miss this?" Marcus stepped forward, pointing to a technical display. "Because you were looking for the wrong things. You tried to measure consciousness in 3-dimensional space. It's like trying to understand a cube by only looking at its shadow." The chamber erupted in discussion as species after species began to realize the implications. Their most advanced chips, their dimensional technology, everything they had built was based on an incomplete understanding of reality itself. "Earth has authorized us to share our findings," James announced, bringing the chamber to silence. "We're establishing a new institute for dimensional physics, but this time, we'll be the teachers." The chief council member's crystalline form sparkled as it spoke. "You would teach us, after our previous treatment of your species." "Humans have a saying," James replied with a small smile. "The best revenge is living well. We prefer to move forward rather than hold grudges." Anna activated a new display, showing the construction plans for Earth's first dimensional physics academy. "We've already had thousands of applications from across the galaxy. Species that laughed at us a month ago are now eager to learn." The chamber's mood had changed completely from those first mocking sessions. Now there was respect, curiosity, and even excitement as the implications of human dimensional understanding began to sink in. "There's something else," Marcus added, bringing up his own data. "Every ship we build using these principles gets stronger." The Revelation was just the beginning. Each vessel learns from the consciousness of its crew, developing new capabilities we hadn't even imagined. The display showed the construction of Earth's new fleet of dimensional ships. Each one was designed to work with human consciousness, not against it. The aliens watched in fascination as test footage showed these ships performing maneuvers that their best vessels couldn't match. "We're not just changing space travel," Anna continued. "This understanding of higher dimensions is already leading to breakthroughs in medicine, energy production, and communication. The 7th dimension isn't just another layer of space. It's a fundamental aspect of reality that we're only beginning to understand. An alien scientist raised an appendage. But how can we learn this? Our minds don't work like yours. That's where you're wrong, James replied. All consciousness interacts with higher dimensions. Humans just happen to notice it first. With training, any species can learn to see what we see. It won't be easy, and it won't be quick, but it's possible. The ancient ones moved closer, their shells humming with what seemed like excitement. We request to be the first students in your academy. Our civilization has existed for millions of years, but now we see we have so much to learn. James looked at his crew, seeing their pride and satisfaction. In just a few weeks, humanity had gone from being dismissed as primitive upstarts to becoming the galaxy's teachers. The laughter had stopped, replaced by a hunger for knowledge that would reshape civilization itself. The academy opens next month, he announced to the chamber. Let's see what we can all learn together. As the chamber erupted in excited discussion, James watched the holographic display of Earth's growing fleet. The revelation had started as a single ship trying to prove humanity's worth. Now it had become the catalyst for the biggest change in galactic history. All because humans had dared to trust their own unique way of seeing the universe. 6 months after the revelation's first demonstration, Earth had become the center of a new age of exploration. The Earth Dimensional Academy's massive campus sprawled across what was once the Australian outback, its distinctive crystal and metal towers housing students from thousands of alien species. Captain James walked through the Academy's main hall, now lined with viewing windows that looked out into 7-dimensional space. Students of all shapes and sizes practiced their dimensional awareness exercises, their minds slowly learning to see what humans had always instinctively understood. The Ancient Ones are making remarkable progress, Dr. Anna Reed said, falling into step beside him. She held up her data pad showing the latest test results. Their crystalline minds are actually restructuring themselves to better process higher dimensional concepts. They entered the Academy's central chamber, where Marcus Stone was teaching an advanced class. The chamber's walls shifted with 7-dimensional energy, helping the alien students visualize what their minds were beginning to perceive. Remember, Marcus was saying to his class, don't try to force it. Let your consciousness flow naturally into the higher dimensions. Humans didn't discover this through effort. We found it by learning to pay attention to what our minds already knew. The original revelation now held a place of honor in the Academy's museum, though it was far from retired. Each new breakthrough in dimensional understanding led to upgrades and improvements. The ship that had once been mocked as primitive was now recognized as the most sophisticated vessel ever created. The latest fleet reports are in, Anna said as they watched the class. 50 new dimensional ships, all crewed by mixed teams of humans and aliens. They're exploring parts of the galaxy we never could have reached before. James nodded, remembering how different things had been just months ago. And the medical applications. Even better than we hoped. Understanding 7-dimensional space has revolutionized our understanding of consciousness itself. We're curing diseases by treating them across multiple dimensions of reality. The Academy's alert system chimed softly, announcing the arrival of the day's most important visitors. The Ancient Ones' High Council had come for their first lesson, finally setting aside their pride to learn from the species they had once dismissed. Captain Walker, their spokesperson, chimed as the group approached, their metallic shells now decorated with the Academy symbol. We bring news from the far reaches, the dimensional gates your ships discovered. They lead to places we never imagined existed. James smiled, remembering the moment when the first exploration fleet had found the gates, massive 7-dimensional structures that predated all known civilizations. Only ships guided by consciousness could activate them, which explained why they had remained dormant for so long. The universe is bigger than any of us knew, he replied, and we're just beginning to understand it. Through another window, they could see new students arriving, representatives from species that had initially refused to believe in human dimensional technology. Now they came eagerly, ready to learn the new way of seeing reality that humanity had uncovered. "There's something else," Anna added, showing James another report. "The children born since we began dimensional exploration, they're showing even stronger natural abilities. It's like humanity is evolving to better understand these higher dimensions." Marcus joined them as his class ended, his students flowing out into the corridor, their minds full of new ways of seeing reality. "The galaxy's changing," he said. "And this time, humanity is leading the way." James watched as another dimensional ship took off from the Academy's landing field, its hull glowing with that characteristic blue light as it prepared to slip between dimensions. The crew would be a mix of humans and aliens, each bringing their own perspective to the exploration of higher dimensional space. "We never wanted revenge for their laughter," he said quietly. "We just wanted to show them there was more to reality than they had imagined, and now we're all discovering it together." The Academy hummed with energy as thousands of minds learned to see the universe in new ways. The laughter had stopped, replaced by something far more valuable: understanding. Humanity had given the galaxy more than just new technology. They had shown that sometimes the best way to see the truth was to look at it through new eyes. And somewhere in the seven-dimensional depths of space, new discoveries waited for minds ready to understand them.